Hey, it's Tom and Andrew. Today we are going to show you our newest tool in our Alpha Legacy line of gunsmithing tools. But before we do that, we want to talk a little bit about the existing tools and why we got into this. So Andrew, why don't you talk about the first tool that we developed and what really drove us into the market?
Yeah, so the first thing we came out with were our reamers. The reason we came out with these is back when we first started doing some of the Wildcat brass cartridges like 6 Dasher, 6 BRA, things like that. And when we started with the GT, because that wasn't SAMI-spec'd yet, we had found that those older Wildcats had lots of different chamber designs, lots of different reamer designs, and it wasn't just like free bore diameter or free bore length. It was like the body diameter is different, the overall length is different. It was like all these different actual like case dependent dimensions that we had to uniform. And so we were really frustrated about it. We didn't know what to do, and we said, hey, let's start a reamer project and let's start producing reamers. And that's where we first came out with our reamer line. And we have all different variants for that. Our chamber reamers are here. We see two different versions of it. We have our standard off-the-shelf chamber reamer that's a straight flute design, 6 flutes. We're also going to come out with a 5 flute design. And this has a slight helix to it. We offer them now in a bunch of different cartridges. But then we also can do fully customizable finish reamers. So that's more what we see here. This is for high volume, high production, much higher helix. On this particular reamer, actually, we're going to zoom up in B-roll of actual through coolant hole on this one. And you can see it's vastly different than our standard off-the-shelf reamers. So,
Yeah, so no bushing.
Yeah, no bushing on those as well.
I think one interesting thing going back to what got us into it is we had a reamer that was used to set world records in shooting, and the dimensions were not what the individual thought they were.
Yeah,
so the secrets were not necessarily secrets because they weren't what they thought they were.
Yeah, that's true. That's the other part of it is the accuracy of our reamers and our tooling. We can actually make a change in a chamber design and say, hey, this is actually what we call it out to be within tenths instead of where other reamers are oversized by thousands.
Yeah, so if you buy this reamer today or 3 years from now, it's absolutely identical.
Yeah, to the closest degree.
Right, to the closest. So,
yep.
Great.
So working down from our finished reamers, then we came out with a line of Ruffers. So we have two different variants of a Ruffer. We have two versions of a body Ruffer, a 308, which does all 308 base cases, and then we have a PRC, which does more of your magnums, stuff like that. But you can see this is a 3 flute Ruffer, slight helix on this, or pretty aggressive, not aggressive helix, but there's a helix on it. This is to just take out aggressively the body. So again, this is more like a high volume shop. Lower volume shops can absolutely use these. They're great. But for a high volume, high production CNC shop, on like slant beds, this is a great Ruffer to use. Then we have our more typical chamber dependent Ruffers or cartridge dependent Ruffers. So this one in particular is a 22 Creedmoor. We've seen a big boost in 22 Creedmoor as of late.
Yep.
It's both on the brass side and on the reamer side. We're selling a lot of both. This one you can see it's a free flute, 3 flute. And we have chip breakers on this one. This one does use a bushing, but we do these without bushings as well.
And I think we have 5 or 6 options of those on the website now, and that's expanding constantly.
More coming all the time. And then after that, we have our drill line. So one of the best ways, we don't want to wear up life on a finish reamer, right? So that's why they have Ruffers, but then also at the same time, you can start with drills. Drills are the cheapest, easiest, and you can use them for as long as they can cut. And so you can start with the drill, and then you can go to a Ruffer, then you can go to a finisher, or some guys also will use boring bars to match chamber taper walls too.
And that's part of that drill design, is it's designed to deflect less.
Yes.
Upon entering the barrel.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a double margin drill. You can see the margins on the actual fluting, and so it helps to stay true to diameter just a little better than other standard drills. All our tooling is carbide. We run all this as carbide just due to stiffness and wear. So if you haven't run carbide before, there are some differences. Carbide, you do have to push a little harder to start it to cut, but once it starts cutting, it's going to cut really, really well. And it's going to last longer too.
Yep, and the other thing is, if you can talk a little bit about, we have a proprietary coating we call stealth coating technology.
Yep.
That we coat all the reamers and other cutting tools with. So what's the benefit of that?
It's really, the main part of it is As those chips start to build up in these flutes, it's just going to lower that coefficient of friction there. And if you're pushing with any kind of, muzzle down coolant or any kind of fluid flow, it's going to help push those chips and not let it catch within those flutes. So it just creates a slip and slide for chips to get out of there.
So one of the real benefits of all these tools is the precision that they're made to. And if you're trying to build, PRS, bench rest, or F-class rifles that are incredibly consistent shooting, if you've got a bad tool cutting your chamber, that's going to have issues in accuracy. So if we can mitigate that with the tools that the gunsmiths get, and that's now not part of the equation, that's a big reason why we did this.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So moving on from that, our newest tool, we'll grab it down here, and we've had a lot of requests for these. So our newest offering are our Alpha Legacy chamber gauges. And so what is different about these, and what did we see in the initial testing of other chamber gauges?
Yeah, so I think, why we came out with them is because the amount of calls we deal with where it's, brass is growing 10 thou, we get with the customer and they send us, either the reamer specs or we send us brass samples and we measure them and it's, it's way over SAMI max spec. We've had a lot of issues with that. And so we started looking at chamber gauging. We bought samples from six samples from 3 competitors, 2 each, of 308 go gauges. Measuring those go gauges, we found that 4 of them were out of spec and only 2 of them were actually in spec. And so to the same degree of accuracy that we make our chamber reamers, we actually stepped that accuracy up with our gauges. So these are essentially qualified gauges. So these aren't just, standard off-the-shelf $40 gauges that could be, all over the dang place. These are guaranteed accuracy to 2/10,000ths of an inch to the datum point. So they're extremely accurate. We're made of carbide. We're not going to get wear. A lot of times I don't think when you start to use chamber gauges often, if it's a standard tool steel, they are hardened, but you're still going to get a little more wear out of those. And if you're using them for 20 years, there's going to be a length difference there. And so the carbide just adds a degree of certainty to that measurement and hardness that won't wear.
Yeah, so they should essentially last forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nice thing too, one of the things we did with these is also we took any sharp points, we radiused all of them. So there's no real sharp edges on this at all. And so if you drop it, it's not going to fracture. That's the one thing with some of the carbide reamers. If you drop this on the bushing or in the journal, it may actually crack that off because of the diameter reduction there. But these are very solid. They're extremely strong. But yeah, this is going to be a great new offering from us. It's going to allow gunsmiths and individual competitors to guarantee the accuracy of their chamber being cut. We're offering them as a go gauge. So the go gauge is going to be the SAMI min spec minus 2/10,
right?
Or up to minus 2/10, I should say, 2/10 tolerance. And then we're going to do a +4 gauge. So that will say +4 over SAMI min spec, and that's going to have a +2/10 tolerance. So it could be 4 2/10 longer.
And that's in typical Alpha fashion. We go out to the community and we ask what's needed. And so you went out to several of the top gunsmiths.
Yep.
And we talked about that, and everyone settled on that 4 thou.
Yeah, because if you look at SAMI max, most SAMI maxes are 10 thou. And for a competition gun, that's a monster amount of room. It's crazy. And so we didn't want to do that. We said with the tolerance spec on tenons and also the tolerance spec on bolt face and that relationship, if you're getting a pre-fit or you're going to a good gunsmith, they should be able to hit within 4 thou pretty well. So
another piece of data that I don't think people really understand, but if your brass starts growing 10 thou or over, that's when you can start to get case head separation on 1 or 2 firings.
Yeah, from overworking it that much.
So that is why we went with a 4 thou, a 4 thou gauge. So those will be offered as well. So
yeah.
It kind of closes the loop on all these other tools where these are the most precise reamers in the industry, but now having a truly qualified chamber gauge gives you that kind of last base to shoulder measurement.
Yep.
You can have confidence that that's perfect.
Yep. And the nice thing is too, recently, in the last like 5 years, I would say, pre-fit barrels have become widely popular, and guys are not having to send their their actions in. They can just send this is my action spec, and then a gunsmith can send them a barrel with that. Guys at home are going to be able to really check to make sure if that's perfect or not, that when they chamber it, it's going to be right on the money. And it should allow, if the gunsmith's doing the right job and they're cutting the chamber well, you could probably take your brass that you shot in your last chamber to your new chamber, knowing that your gauging and your shoulder lengths are correct.
That's a good point. So it's tools not just for gunsmiths. It's actually valuable to have them at home if you're buying prefits or any rifle for that matter.
Yep. Yeah,
it gives you that confidence. So these are going to be up on the website. How many offerings are we going to launch with?
Yeah, so we're going to launch with our core competency of calibers, I would say. So the 308 family, so that's going to be nice. You can get 308, 243, 260, 708, that all comes in there. The Creedmoor family does the old Creedmoors. We're also going to come with Dasher, GT and the GT family. We're going to do the 4.7, so the 6.5 and 25 4.7, because that's been hugely popular right now. And then we'll start to follow with some of the other standards pretty quick. The ARC's very popular for us right now. And so those will come out shortly after.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get requests for additional, which is how the reamer line grew.
We won't do belted magnums, though.
Yeah, we won't do belted magnums.
There's no issue shoot a belted magnum.
Yeah, comments.
Yeah.
So great. Well, that's where we're at. Expect to see these on the website soon. They're going to be a little bit more expensive, but that's due to the precision and accuracy. Yeah. But again, because they're made out of carbide, they should last forever. Mm-hmm. So any questions you have regarding gunsmithing tools or more information you'd like on the tools, throw them down in the comments and Andrew will answer them.
Have a good one.